Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by and checking today's video out. And guys, today we're going to be talking about a topic that I don't know anybody that would not be interested in, and that is, what do you need to do when the fish aren't biting? What adjustments do you need to make? What can you do to get or to catch fish when you simply cannot catch them? It happens to every single one of us, and it seems like now that our lakes have more pressure than any other time that I've ever been fishing. It happens more frequently now, where the fishing a lot of times is just tougher and tougher and tougher, and it can be frustrating. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like even myself, I have days out there when I just simply cannot put it together for the day. It's like I'll experiment, I'll try different stuff, and it's just nothing is working out there. But what I want to try to do today is I want to try to give you guys some practical examples of some things that have worked for me a lot in the past when I'm struggling and when I'm having a hard time. Now, if a lot of you guys that are watching the Fishing Teacher here, I mean, this channel is geared for the people that are sort of getting started out, although anybody can benefit from some of the info here. But what you have in it is when you go fishing, for the most part, normally you have a little bit of an idea what you think might be working. I mean, you can, whether it be if you've looked on the internet to see, or you've talked to some of your buddies, or maybe it's the right time of year for a certain something, you sort of have an idea what you need to bring to tie on and some areas that you need to start in. And more often than not, you have to make some type of an adjustment throughout the day. So let's take for an example, like I'll give you an example like right now. What can you probably do? I went jerkbait fishing last week on one of the lakes here in Missouri, and this was a situation where I went to some places where I have caught them for the last 50 years. And I know where the fish are at. I know what they like. It's a jerkbait bite. Everything's set up on it. Just perfect for it. So anyway, I went out and I started fishing my favorite jerkbait. On this particular lake, I was throwing a Megabass Vision 110. And I was throwing it in the Table Rock shad pattern because it was sort of a cloudy, rainy day. And normally that's what they like to bite there. So I went through a couple of my key areas, 3 or 4 of my key areas, and I never caught a fish. And it's like, man, I cannot believe that, because this always works. So I got thinking, it's like, okay, maybe they don't want a jerkbait. Maybe they want something slower, or a crankbait or something. So I tried a crankbait for maybe 20 minutes or so, changed out a couple different colors of them. Nothing, couldn't get a bite on it. Then I said, well, okay, they're not biting a crankbait or a jerkbait. Maybe they want something slow. So I slowed down, I put on a jig, and I started fishing slow with a jig and a Ned rig. Couldn't catch anything. So at this point, I'm going like, God, I don't understand. This is like 4 hours into the day, and I still haven't had a bite. And you got to understand, it's not like I'm having to know where the fish, or I'm having to look for the fish, because I've caught fish in these areas every winter this time of year for the last 40 years. I know these fish live here. So I got thinking, it's okay. It's like, they're not biting anything that I'm throwing. Let's go back to the start, where I go to my favorite technique, which is throwing a jerkbait, and let's make a color change. So anyway, I made a color change, nothing. Didn't do any good on that. Next thing I did, it's like, okay, maybe they want a profile change, and changed a little bit smaller profile, nothing. They didn't want that. And I said, okay, maybe they want a color change on a smaller profile. So I put on a color change. I put on what's called a Deadly Black Shad, which is sort of a dark metallic finish on it with that downsize, and started catching them. It's like right off the bat, and I wound up catching like 8 or 10 fish on that thing after I had went through the process of going through 3 different type of jerk baits, two crankbaits with 2 different colors, a jig, and finally I figured it out that that's what the fish wanted. So one of the things that you have to realize in fishing, it's like, the fish are always biting. It's just a matter of, you have to figure out what they want. Now, I just got fortunate. I just picked out the right color, and they were reacting to it based upon whatever variables. So that's the thing that you have to remember more than anything else if you're having a hard time. It's a combination. If you're in an area, that is, if you're in an area that you know has got fish in it, or you know there's fish living there, it's a matter of finding out the key lure and the key presentation and the key color they want. It could be the color. It could be the type of retrieve you're using. It could be the profile of the lure. But you always have to make adjustments. And the good rule of thumb, guys, is if you fish through an area that looks really good and you think there should be some fish there, and if you fish 20, 25 minutes through that area and don't get a bite, make some type of an adjustment, and that adjustment can be anything. Like I said, it can be retrieve or cadence, color, size, anything. But you have to constantly change up until you hit on that right combination of things. And I understand, I think a lot of people, one of the reasons they don't catch fish if they're not catching them is they don't want to take the time to dig down in your box and retie, because it is a pain in the butt, especially in the wintertime. It's cold, you don't want to move around a lot, you got to dig in your box. I get it. It's people don't want to constantly change and mix stuff up, but sometimes that's just what you have to do. So main thing, guys, the point of the video is just keep it in your mind that the bass are always biting. You just have to figure out that right set of combinations and your presentations and your lures to get them to actually, go for a bait, just like what happened to me last week. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.